Hi all, yes, I have an absolutely amazing game to show you, and yeah, there's probably signals in my face, yeah, from the emotions that this game has triggered in my mind, okay, in case you're wondering. So this is Leela against Andscacs, 0.94, so d4 from Leela, d5, and we have the Mason attack variation of the London system. You might remember there's a pretty popular video on the Kingscrusher channel for Magnus Carlsen's top secret London system move order, and it has this bishop f4. Because knight f3 in a nutshell basically interferes with this diagonal. Sometimes you might want to play bishop e2 later in g4, g5, keeping this diagonal clear. There's some perks basically to this bishop f4. Or Mason attack, as it's sometimes called. c5, we have e3, knight c6, knight f3. More usual is c3 apparently, so this kind of example variation is very popular. But we have actually, in this game, knight f3. We have knight f6 now, knight bd2. And now black plays queen b6, so eyeing that b2, which is a theoretical downside of the bishop, leaving c1. Also some pressure on the center, but b2, yes. Another move is e6, by the way. So this is again reaching a normal kind of position. So queen b6 is on the greedy side, shall we say. D takes c5 is the book move. So Leela finds that book move, it's the most popular move here. Queen takes, rook b1, queen c3. Bishop b5, e6. Here on queen takes c5, this should be an even position actually. Even though white's a pawn down, this example continuation, one can actually probably just by force even get the pawn back and just get, or just get a lot of pressure here. It's an even position basically. So anyway, e6. White castles bishop e7, and now a really unexpected, super powerful move idea. I think many humans with white wouldn't really think about this too much. The move was e4. Yeah, really super powerful move. Now black castled here. You might wonder why. On well, this is the first bit of amusement for this game for me at least. D takes e4. What do you think the idea here is? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video. Okay, it's actually knight c4. And after e takes, just to trap the queen with rook b3, the queen's actually trapped here, because if queen d4 we just take that, because of course the knight's pinned. So this is the idea, just trapping the queen actually. And if black's playing fg, then just take here. Yeah, queen is going to be lost. Good advice to white, maybe take f first. Yeah, so that's, yeah, this is a bit of amusement here in this variation on d takes. So knight c4. On knight takes e4, knight takes, this position with bishop takes, check, and bishop d6 is strong for white. For example, e takes, bishop takes e7, threatening mate. King takes, for example, yeah, because if f takes, this is show the mate on the board. Queen e8 is checkmate. So if f takes, sorry, if king takes, queen d6 check, this position is also winning for white, even though white's a piece down, it's just mating black, or just winning back the material. Here is winning back the material. For example, here is very dangerous for black's king safety after rook f4. Black would have to give up the queen because of rook h4, checkmate, and that's just winning for white. So yeah, there's a lot of fascinating variations as the prelude to having what I would call an overprotection point. Nimzowitsch would be proud. e5 is Nimzowicz's favourite point as white when black castles kingside to overprotect. The idea, one of the basic ideas of overprotection, if you read Nimzowitsch My System, is that you put a lot of force behind it So much so that, first of all, pieces are naturally centralized, coordinated, but breaks like f6 start to be ruled out. So it's like ruling out pawn breaks, because if there's so much pressure, then sometimes e6 is exposed on e takes. So sometimes it makes other things impossible, the freeing breaks. So it's a way of creating a sort of positional binds, basically. Knight d7. We have knight b3. Now queen b4. In this position, taking out the centre pawn, you might think is attractive. However, again, the queen finds herself stuck after bishop d2. Yeah, the knight's holding now c5. There's no escape for the queen here. So if check, yeah, this is just a piece up. Thanks very much. And the same with the other. It doesn't make much difference which knight. It ends up with the same scenario. Bang, and then bishop d2, same scenario. Black would have to give up the piece. Thanks very much, piece up. So we have queen b4. Knight bd4. Queen takes. Rook e1 here, a6, and now bishop d3, which is afforded because of this tactical bishop h7 business. Black does take, but clearly black cannot take here because the bishop takes h7, winning the queen. That's a good trap to be aware of. So we have g6, and now queen takes d4 really is on. The knight goes back, overprotecting e5. So you can see here, yeah, if any f6, e6 is going to be weaker. Black is putting up with this at the moment, b5. Queen d2. Rook e8. And now h4, yeah, with the idea of either undermining the pawn chain or installing the dreaded form pawn. Thorn, form pawn. Bishop b7. Bishop g5. Bishop f8. Now knight h2 is played. Very neat move, afforded by the overprotection, in fact, because the rook's also protecting. Another great benefit, another great feature of overprotection, as shown by Nimzovich, it frees up pieces for other operations. So the knight is now free for this more attacking operation to go into g4 potentially. We have h5. Now this might be a little bit of a mistake. It seems rook ac8. This position, this variation, might actually be a better way for black to go. For example, here seems mostly harmless. It might actually be a better way to go to play rook ac8. In the game continuation, Leela plays very aggressively now with g4. Yeah, wrenching open some files. Or installing the dreaded, after g takes, the dreaded form pawn is installed after h6. Which is the strongest thing to do. Opening up lines doesn't really do much here. It actually just helps black on the f file. For example, here black's already better, that f file. There's weaknesses everywhere. There's the bishop bearing down. No, install the form pawn. Knight takes. C takes. Which is purposely leaving the queen on the skewer for bishop c3 instead of, say, queen takes d3. You might think this is a bit unusual. Another alternative here was h takes g, which is only, it seems equal actually. This is a very sharp line, just for equality here. Yeah, it's actually really looking dangerous, but apparently rook takes e1 is needed. And then here, yeah, this is equal dynamically. So anyway, c takes, which offers an exchange. And black goes for it. Queen f4. Now, it's actually far too dangerous to take here immediately because, can you guess? What does white play here? Test your attacking skills. Okay. Another 2 seconds to pause the video. Okay, h7 check is the move. So, for example, here, Queen f6, and then we force a checkmate. All runs with check. The wrong way to play this, to celebrate the form pawn, might be the wrong way. You have to give up the form pawn, I'm afraid. Because queen f6, there's queen takes f2 check, dragging the queen's off the board. Well, the queen's come off the board, and black has a big advantage there. So anyway, h7 is the big issue. And on... yeah, it's the big issue here. I believe we just basically transpose. Here there's bishop h6, checkmate, And so we're basically just transposing into that, forcing checkmate. So, all right, so, sorry, queen d4 was played to stop queen f6. But now the queen actually plunged into c7, so hitting the bishop. So still, there's two bishops to take here. We have to take this one because of queen takes f2, check being annoying. So what is going on with the exchange sacrifice? Well, clearly, visually, this is quite exciting. Black has basically lost the protection of that bishop. The dark square is not only weak, there's a form pawn, there's a dark square bishop without a counterpart. And there's a menacing queen on the 7th rank here. So we have rook ab8. And in this position, there does appear to be a solution available to white, according to Stockfish 9. A very, very tactical solution. You might want to pause the video if I give you 3 seconds to pause the video to analyze it. Yeah, there's a very tactical solution in rook takes e6 here. For example, rook takes is no good because of queen takes b8 and queen f8. This scenario is not very good at all for black. And on bishop a8, bishop f6 hitting the queen is not at all good. Yeah, it seems rook takes e6 and is very, very good here. On f takes, then there's actually the nifty bishop f4, threatening bishop e5, and h7 and bishop e5. So say check, and then here, then there's h7 check and bishop e5 check, winning the queen, and that's actually a winning position for white. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff here. This position is very interesting. If we have rook e8 instead, check again, bishop e5 check. Okay, so yeah, it looks as though rook takes e6 is a very tactical solution, but Leela kind of makes this game almost, to me, transcendental. The way it's played here is Leela's like playing to the spectators. It's like, what's the last thing you'd want to do if you have an attacking position where you've just sacrificed the exchange? This is like science fiction now. And I can only say that it's just very, very shocking. King g2, which seems a bit crazy because that bishop's on that diagonal, right? Rook f8 is played. And even more shocking now, it's like, yeah, white to play. What is like the last move you'd expect here? And Leela plays it. Oh, okay, it's king g3. What does it do, king g3? Well, one observation I can make is it's away from the light square bishop. So you have actually 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, 5. They're all away from the light square bishop. It holds the f3 square. So maybe there's going to be a rook coming to f3 and a knight coming to g4, but the king's holding f3 as well. So it's got a few properties. This rook left is dangerous with ideas of h7. This knight maneuver is dangerous. So there's a lot of dangers here. And it's also, it seems to be the case that you might think, can the queen be harassed? Amusingly, queen takes d3 was the game continuation, but have a quick look at this. This position fascinated me because the bishop's actually controlling d8. The queen's got a nice parking spot. Same with the king on dark squares. Everything seems to be having a great time away from the glare of the bishop, theoretically. It's like really exploiting the single bishop. I don't even know if that's a strategy. Celebration of the single bishop colour. Because with the bishop pair, you know, this wouldn't be as effectual. None of these pieces seem to be evictable. Not the queen from any rook move. The king is in a fairly safe place. And yet, white can build here. White is free to build with rook e3 to f3, knight to g4. It's incredible. If we take an example here, this is devastating, with the pieces really coming in on the dark squares. And this is just a crushing attack here. As an example, yeah, just winning everything. Everything's collapsing. You know, that's just a crushing example. So it's fascinating how the dark squares are really much more valuable to white now. So anyway, queen takes d3 check was chosen. Rook e3, which is of course accelerating white's attacking maneuvers. And now we have rook f3. White's getting a really ideal attacking configuration. Trying to nudge the queen now. On queen e4, knight g4 threatens knight f6. This doesn't seem very healthy. You know, any f-pawn move, then there's the Thorn pawn comes in, the goal-hanging pawn, to deliver checkmate with the queen. Thank you very much for that corner kick. Okay, so rook fc8, if it was European football. Rook fc8, as an example. Queen takes f7 is crashing through as well. So what does black do here? Bishop a8, then knight f6 check wins the queen. So yeah, it's unpleasant basically. So queen e4, yeah, is a pretty disastrous move. So we have this, which offers up the bishop just to get this check in. It doesn't seem a big deal to check. Bishop f4 and the queen now. Oh dear, the queen, the poor queen. Queen a1, and it gets even more ridiculous now after bishop d6. So the bishop can't, the rook can't afford to move because of not even stronger than queen takes here is rook takes, where black's just getting mated. By the way, like this, for example, that's the strongest. So we have b4. And now, cheek of it, but king g2, the king just steps back. Now that the bishop's gone, I don't know, Leela's a comedian or something with the chessboard, with the possibilities available. A comedian. So queen d4, we have rook f4. And now, yeah, black is playing its part to create an immortal looking game with queen h8. Very unusual, this. Parking spot. Okay, it hits the Thorn pawn. The Thorn pawn is protected. It's not going anywhere. And knight f6 now. Splat is threatened. Black tries to do something about that to cover the f6 square. But now bishop e5. Yes, bishop e5. The queen's almost checkmated. The queen didn't go to h7 because, for example, bishop g7. And if here, this is really quite amusing, this position after queen e7 is mating. Because, well, if the rook moves, then there's queen f7. And if the rook takes here, this is really quite amusing stuff. Queen takes e6 check, and then queen takes, and then queen takes f8. Yeah, it's really quite amusing stuff. So this is the position where black played rook b8. Leela plays queen d7, eyeing e6 now. Queen h7. And yeah, queen takes e6 is very strong, and that wasn't played. Bishop g7, the sadistic bishop g7 instead. On queen e6, this position, there's knight f6 check, knight e4 check, and there's another super cute variation here with knight g5. After queen takes, there's h7 checkmate. You can see the knight and bishop closing up all the escape squares. So anyway, the more sadistic looking bishop g7 is played. Now rook f7, because if takes, then we're back to this idea of queen takes e6. That's simply mating there actually. So we have rook f7, queen takes e6, and now desperately, well, knight f6 checkmate is threatened. This is sick. Let's put it on the board. That's checkmate to be avoided. Ouch. So black desperately gives up the queen. This is a real mauling of a classical chess engine. I mean, Andscacs is rank 8 on one of the rating lists I've just checked out, CCRL. It's a rank 8 chess engine being absolutely mashed in this game. I mean, I don't know if that's an overstatement. I mean, I don't know. It's been absolutely slaughtered. So this is just, yeah, checkmate. So clearly, Leela Chess has been watching all my videos, in particular the Magnus Carlsen's secret move order against the London system. So Leela can thank me for this wonderful game. Just kidding. So yeah, this is really cool. And this stage 2, I should say, apparently it's well, I think it's with ponder off, which means pondering is in the opponent's time. The engines can't think now in this stage 2, and so far Leela's done well out of it. Hasn't lost the game yet, and this is like the most stunning game so far in my view. Everyone's raving about this game with good reason. I'm reminded with the King G3, it's like in a way Leela's answer to the game Fischer once had with black against one of the Byrne brothers, where a profound pawn sack to open up the diagonal and queen d7 with black. It's like the opposite. White is making the king ultra safe away from the light square bishop, ultra safe to pursue the attack ruthlessly without any counterplay. It's like almost setting an invisibility cloak. Once you see that your opponent's got a single coloured bishop, it's like if you start putting all your pieces, including your king, on the other colour, it's like setting up some sort of invisibility mode in a way. Anyway, it stirs up imagination for me, new concepts almost. One thinks about attacking concepts. But I do recognise the element of overprotection as a prelude to attack is Nimzovician. You can see in a lot of Nimzovich games he's done that, creating a sort of attacking bind. Offering the exchange up is fairly logical. You know, black was already weak on the dark squares. It's just that the king move, celebrating the light square bishop, impresses me. Makes a very, very deep impression aesthetically. I wonder if it does for you as well. Let me know. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.